The 2022 NFL Pro Football Draft is upon us. And boy, do we have a lot to talk about. We obviously have all the situation with the quarterbacks. We know that Carolina's interested. We know that the Jacksonville Jaguars are apparently not interested in the most can't-miss prospect there is in this draft in Aiden Hutchinson. Instead, they are going after a very good prospect who could actually be just as good as Aiden Hutchinson in Travon Walker. We've got so much to talk about. I am going to be mocking this draft in its entirety, from the entire first round, I should say, in its entirety of the entire first round. We'll be going through each pick. We'll be going through who the team should pick. I want to be clear about this. This is not who they are going to pick. This is who they should pick at whatever they're slotted right now. There could be trades by the time this comes out. There could be a whole host of scenarios. I can't account for that before it happens. So I'm going to go with what I got. It should give you at least an idea of the best players in this draft and where they really fit in well. So we talked about the Jacksonville Jaguars. There's been a lot of talk that this is a team that is looking to trade down. They really want to trade down. The only question remains, is there a person who wants either one of these top people in Aiden Hutchinson, Travon Walker, whoever it may be, perhaps a Kayvon Thibodeaux? Is there someone who's going to want to trade up and give away a considerable haul? There are multiple teams who have multiple first-round picks. The New Orleans Saints are one of them. The Giants have 2 first-round picks in the top 7 of the NFL draft. Are they looking to move up and get one of these can't-miss prospects? It's a lot. There's a lot of things that are up in the air right now as far as who could be trading up, I should say, in that pick. I think at the end of the day, the Jacksonville Jaguars are going to more or less stick around and stay with what they have. And if that's the case, look, all the talk about Travon Walker is great. Aiden Hutchinson, this guy right here, Aiden Hutchinson has everything you want in a powerful, dominant pass rusher. Think J.J. Watt. 6'7", had 14 sacks, 17 tackles for a loss in 2021. This is the guy. He's big, he's fast, he's a machine, he's got all the moves. It's him. If the Jacksonville Jaguars want to get better immediately and want to bring in someone who is a stalwart on that Michigan defense, the pick is Aiden Hutchinson. It should be Aiden Hutchinson. It likely won't be Aiden Hutchinson the way things are going. We'll see what they end up doing. The Detroit Lions are a very interesting team. You have the situation with Jared Goff's contract. You have the situation with a team that, regardless of how bad they were, and they were bad, they played hard. They played hard. They were in a lot of their games that they lost, even the tie. And this is a team that I think young people are going to be motivated by. They're going to want to play for, and that honestly has a few holes where, at this point, for the Lions, it's very difficult for them to pick someone here who won't make a direct impact. I think they've gotten better on the offensive lineman front. So I wouldn't take, Ikanwu or Evan Neal or someone like that. And this is going to surprise people. For me, there is one player in this draft who has, I would say actually 2 players in this draft who have, to me, the biggest upside. One of them is Kayvon Thibodeaux. I think if he figures it out, if he's coached well, he is going to be a beast, monster, everything under the sun in the NFL. The other one, his 2021 season notwithstanding, I understand there's concerns about all of that. Derek Stingley, to me, is a corner worth drafting second overall. I don't care what anyone says. His season in 2020 was amazing. I think he's going to be a great coverage corner. You put him on that Detroit Lions defense that really needs someone to take that mantle, and you're gonna need to stop the pass in that division with Aaron Rodgers, with Kirk Cousins, Adam Thielen getting healthy, Justin Jefferson. Derek Stingley's the guy who can and will do that. You pick Stingley. Likely that they won't. Again, there's a few people they could take, and it wouldn't be bad. They could take offensive linemen. They could even take Kyle Hamilton. Safety out of Notre Dame. You could take Kyle Hamilton, and you'd be fine. Number 3. Okay, hear me out here. Number 3, I know it says their need is every position for the Texans. This is important. Do not take a quarterback here. Don't be desperate. You got enough time to take a quarterback in 2023. You're not going to be that good this year where it's going to matter. Build your team. Build an identity. Build a roster. And right now, they have one of the best defensive coordinators in pro football as their head coach. In pro football history, I should say, as their head coach in Lovie Smith. One of the best defensive minds, scratch that, in NFL history in Lovie Smith. Almost single-handedly had his defense carry the 2006, what were they? The Chicago Bears to the Super Bowl that year. If there's a guy I trust in molding and readying Kayvon Thibodeau for the next level, it is the Houston Texans. Kayvon Thibodeau, the prospect that this guy is. He's big, he's fast, ran a 4.5 40. As a defensive lineman, as a defensive edge rusher. If there's a guy I want on my team, and I'm Lovie Smith and I want to coach, it's Kayvon Thibodeau. Because imagine what you could do if they're able to harness the raw ability that he has, and the finesse moves on this guy are absolutely crazy. You take Kayvon Thibodeau, you have that spark on that defensive side of the ball that maybe helps light a flame and inspire the other players on that defense. So we have the top 3 right there. You got Hutchinson, Stingley, Kayvon Thibodeau. Is this what I think will happen? No, but this is what should happen. Number 4 overall, you got the New York Football Jets. The New York Football Jets, who have positions open, who have honestly openings at most of their positions. And there are many, many, many players they could take here. Jameson Williams would not be a bad pick here. You got Trevon Walker, obviously good at. They could use some pass rush. And then you have the plethora of wide receivers. There are Drake London, Garrett Wilson. I mentioned Jameson Williams earlier as well. Offensive tackle could also be a place where they could go here. I think, and again, this might be me. Here's the thing. You got Zach Wilson. Berrios, not a bad threat. You also have Corey Davis. Not a bad threat for him to have. But you know what would put that over the top and really help Zach Wilson? I bet you thought I was going to say Chris Olave. No. They need someone to help block for Zach Wilson. Because look, Zach Wilson, when I saw he was seeing ghosts. He was running around, and I know they have some decent offensive linemen here, but to me, you have a guy here from Alabama, Evan Neal, cannot miss prospect here. Another can't miss prospect here. Evan Neal, he's a big frame, big dude, played in the SEC. He's ready for the NFL, and I think he can immediately come in, add depth to that offensive line, and you can get Zach Wilson help later on. And I think he's got what it takes, honestly. Much more than I did last year. If he's able to stay upright, and if he's able to have some time back there in the pocket, could be dangerous in the AFC East for them. I think you take Evan Neal here. Again, the big body out of Alabama. He's going to help out this team a lot. Another team that desperately needs some help on the offensive line of the ball. Again, the offensive line for both of the New York teams are pretty suspect. New York Giants have 2 picks, 5 and 7, one almost after the other. They could pretty much pick whoever they want here and still probably get another person that they really want. Biggest problem for them, outside of the quarterback position, we know the limitations that Danny Dimes has, that Daniel Jones has. It is also due, I think his growth was stumped in a way by the lack of help he had around him. And again, there are a lot of people they could go with here. I know Ekwonu is a guy. For me, I think Charlie Cross is better. Ekwonu is undersized. I think he had one really good season. I think Charlie Cross is the better prospect now, where you can plug and play, and it might be able to help not Sam Darnold, but Daniel Jones, to the point where he could look a lot better. And plus, you also have that number 7 pick. We'll get to the receiver position in just a second. You take Cross here, add depth to that offensive line that you desperately need. Here we go, number 6. The Carolina Panthers said earlier today that they are likely going to pick a quarterback. Those are the reports. They've told Sam Darnold that they are likely going to add a quarterback through the NFL draft. And if that's the case, I won't pick a quarterback. I refuse to pick a quarterback because, again, this is what should happen. What I will do is I will show you the different quarterback options that are on the table, and I will tell you which ones to me would make the most sense. Granted, none of them would make a lot of sense to me here, but let's give it a go for a second. Malik Willis, one of the highest upsides in this draft as well as a player, has a lot of great ability, inconsistency in throwing the ball. I think he can get past that in the NFL with the right coaching. That is a caveat, with the right coaching. Similar things to say about Sam Howell. I think Sam Howell is... there are a lot of people who make the Mitch Trubisky comparisons because of the school he went to. He's a lot better than Mitch Trubisky. A lot better than Mitch Trubisky as a prospect coming out. There's no question in my mind. He proved it on his field. He started for more games. He was more successful. And he actually excelled at what he did. Kenny Pickett's the other name. Kenny Pickett out of the University of Pittsburgh. A lot of speculation that the Pittsburgh Steelers might be interested in him. I think Kenny Pickett is going to prove to a lot of people that he has a lower ceiling than at first thought. Matt Corral also in the thick of things here. And let's give some love to Carson Strong, the product out of Nevada, who I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, he's thrown the most passes out of anyone else in this draft. So, look, he's got some experience. It really comes down to me here to Malik Willis, Sam Howell, and Desmond Ridder as far as who they should pick. I am quoted on this show saying Desmond Ridder to me is a guy, if he goes to... Actually, if he could go to almost any situation, I think he's going to be successful at the end of the day. Desmond Ridder, to me, is the one guy in this draft. He will be around in the NFL in 10 years. Book it. He's a winner. He can throw the hell out of a football, and he gets better. He gets better. He's got that you know how we talk about intangible? That's what Desmond Ridder has. Does that mean he's going to be a Hall of Famer MVP every year? No. He has the potential to be. He does. And I know we talk about potential a lot in the draft. I know that gets hyperbolic, or people get lost in hyperbole all the time. I do myself too. But to me, I see Desmond Ridder in the same vein as a Russell Wilson, a guy who probably should be higher on people's lists, but because of the school he went to, because of outside circumstances that have very little to do with actual football, they're going to understate him and undersell him. If you want the quarterback for the future, there's a lot of pressure to pick Howell because he went to North Carolina. I get that. I think you go with Desmond Ridder. He shouldn't start right away. You should give Sam Darnold a chance to fail first. I think you go with Desmond Ridder. That being said, they should not go quarterback here. They are not ready. They are simply not ready. You'll be in a better position in a few years to pick a quarterback. They have some needs on the offensive line. They already had added Bradley Bozeman at left tackle. They got some other people here. Ikem Ekwonu, again, a lot of potential in this guy. Will he reach it? We'll see. He's gonna get an opportunity, I should say, to put in the work in Carolina. Let's see if he'll make the most of it. I got them taking him. Again, we're back to the New York Football Giants, who just picked an offensive lineman. Now they're going to build out their wide receiving core. No better way to do that. A lot of people want to say, hey, is he going to pick Jameson Williams? No. Is he going to pick Drake London out of USC or Garrett Wilson? How about this? The best wide receiver in this draft is out of Ohio State, but his name is Chris Olave, who is exactly who I have the New York Football Giants taking at number 6, who they should take at number 6. Chris Olave, best wide receiver in this draft. The injury withstanding, he has proved that he is past that. I think a lot of people are going to be very surprised. There were concerns about Devontae Smith last year with his injury. How'd that work out for him? He's fine. Chris Olave gonna have a great NFL career. Then we go to one of the most interesting teams here, because they are in a rebuild, but they're not. They just signed Marcus Mariota. They traded away their quarterback of a very long time, since 2008, and Matt Ryan. Atlanta Falcons. Again, very difficult for them to go wrong because there are a lot of needs. It says quarterback one of their needs. I don't really think so. I think Marcus Mariota is going to be able to hold steady there. You're without Calvin Ridley. You have a Kyle Pitts, but you need someone to really pair up a line aside with him, and someone to help Marcus Mariota as he goes through his progressions. A lot of people will say that this is not the right pick. I'm telling you, Jameson Williams, man. Alabama wide receivers. They are on a roll right now. SEC wide receivers are on a roll right now in general. But I'm telling you, Jameson Williams here, he makes a lot of sense. And he's got that connection with someone like Calvin Ridley. So when he comes back in the fold in 2023, they'll have some sort of... That'll be a really unstoppable passing game, no matter who's playing quarterback, especially with Kyle Pitts there as well. SEC just, again, really great at developing players. Seattle Seahawks have a lot of needs. Another team that people are talking about might pick a quarterback. I think they wait till the second round, pick Desmond Ridder. That would be the best situation for both the Seahawks and Ridder himself. Don't think they should pick a quarterback. What's the one thing that Russell Wilson has needed during his time in the Seattle Seahawks? The one thing he needed was help on the offensive line aspect. There are really good interior linemen in this draft. I think Tyler Linderbaum, kid out of Iowa. Iowa is known. Iowa and Iowa State. The state of Iowa does not fail when it comes to interior linemen. They're on a roll. They're about to put someone in the Hall of Fame. His name is Marshall Yanda from Iowa State. So he's gonna be he's gonna be good. And you have Birdhad Raymond. Don't know much about him, I'll be honest with you. Kid out of Central Michigan. Read his draft report. He seems to have what it takes. He's a really good run blocker, I should say. Zion Johnson is a guy who I am very high on. I think Zion Johnson is got to be a really good interior guard. They need help on the offensive line. When in doubt, I think you take the best available. And I think you'd play it for the future. You get them while they're cheap, and you move on from other pieces that might be there, or you move them to different positions. Tyler Linderbaum. To me, Iowa offensive lineman, how can that fail? I know that it's a dumb reason to draft someone, but they need help. And they need to be ready when that quarterback of the future is eventually on their roster. Because it's not Drew Lock. We all know that. New York Football Jets back at it again with their jetting New York teams. 2 picks each in the top 10. How did it get to this point? Let's talk about it here. A lot of chances here for them to get better. Ahmad Gardner, obviously, still on the board here. You got also Travon Walker, a guy who I, again, think is going to be a great player. I just do not know if it is going to be for the New York Football Jets just yet. We already drafted, as you can see here, Evan Neal. They got the help on the offensive line. Now let's get him some help at the wide receiver position. Drake London. A lot of people have him rated as the best wide receiver in this draft. I think he is obviously one of the best. Great draft for wide receivers. You take Drake London here. Give Sam Darnold, living in the past. Give Zach Wilson another target, some help on the outside. I think Drake London's the guy to do it. Moving on to the Washington football team, a.k.a. the Washington Commanders, a.k.a. the Commies, a.k.a. Redacted. Washington has a bunch of people they could possibly pick here. And again, I'm high on him. I'm high on Zion Johnson. Zion Johnson would make sense and help this offensive line a lot. There's a large part of me that wants to pick Kyle Hamilton because I just think Washington needs a guy like Kyle Hamilton who comes from Notre Dame, who's a leader, who is great safety. That, I know that's not a pressing need, so I'm not going to pick him here. But Zion Johnson is not a bad guy to have on your team. I think you go with Zion Johnson here. Yeah, I know he's rated to go with 25. Eventually, we're going to have some people going, in places where they weren't projected to be. But Zion Johnson, to me, is not a bad pick here. Let's move on now to the Minnesota Vikings. They have lost a lot of people on the defensive line, starting with their very, very short-lived stint with oh my God, who's the guy who played for the Ravens? Oh, too late. I don't know. I don't remember. What was his name? Anyway, they traded to the Ravens, and then he never did anything for him. I'm so sorry. I cannot believe I forgot his name. It's late at night when I'm recording this. Anyway, they need a lot of help. They should pick a quarterback too. They're not going to pick a quarterback here. I don't think they should pick a quarterback right here, but eventually they should pick a quarterback because Kirk Cousins is part of the problem. Anyway, a lot of needs here. Cornerback, guard, interior line, as I said, edge rusher. Look, a lot of needs, a lot to pick from. If you're telling me right now you got Travon Walker on the board, man, I'm telling you, you got to take him. You got to take him. I know I have him falling from number 1 to number 12. That is not an indictment on him. It's about fit and what these teams need and look and honestly I think Aiden Hutchinson is just better in my opinion. It's one man's opinion. But Travon Walker would immediately make an impact on the Minnesota Vikings defense, and I think he is that type of person that they need, that character type of person that they need. Moving on, the Houston Texans picking again. A lot of bad teams getting multiple picks. Good to see that. As it says, they need help at every position. We had them build out Kayvon Thibodeau on their defensive line. So now let's focus on building out that defense a little more. I have Ahmad Gardner still on the board. Pick Ahmad Gardner. Get that cornerback help. Get that help in the secondary. Build out that defense. You'll have next year. It is a work in progress. It is not a contender yet. Here we go. This is what I've been waiting for. My Baltimore Ravens are on the clock at number 14. Need a lot more help than defensive line and cornerback, I'll tell you that. Ideally here for me, people don't draft Derek Stingley in the top 10, and he falls to the Ravens, and the Ravens pick Derek Stingley, and we're all happy. That is the ideal situation here. Where it stands now, a year after drafting Odafe Oweh, who I think has really filled out that pass rusher situation for the Ravens very well. They brought back Calais Campbell. I don't think defensive edge rusher is necessarily a problem. Interior lineman might be. So the Ravens have a chance here to get Devontae Wyatt, who I think is the best interior lineman in this draft. Look. They also got a chance here to draft Nakobe Dean. I know. Look, I know the Ravens, they have a Patrick Queen, but they need someone working that middle linebacker position, that inside linebacker position. Nakobe Dean is a Raven. Like, I don't care what anyone says. The way I see, people say he's undersized, whatever. The way I see this guy play on the Georgia defense, he's a Raven. I know it doesn't make sense. If Derek Stingley's here, you pick Derek Stingley. If Derek Stingley's not here and we're given the situation we have, I would not be mad at Kyle Hamilton. Kyle Hamilton honestly probably deserves to be drafted at this point. Teams just have not had a need for him. Look, he's a Raven. He's a Raven. You know why he's a Raven? Because I just picked him. Boom. Nakobe Dean, number 14, Baltimore Ravens. He is a Raven. He should be a Raven. That's what I want to have happen. That's my one want here in this mock draft. Moving on, the Philadelphia Eagles also needed help at linebacker. I have them picking linebacker Devin Lloyd out of Utah. Devin Lloyd is the big prototypical linebacker that everyone wants. Philadelphia Eagles need help on that defense like it's nobody's business. I think Lloyd can fill out a lot of pieces there. New Orleans Saints, one of their 2 picks. Again, also all of these players, all of these teams that have multiple first round picks, they all have them like almost right next to each other. Like, can we talk about that for just a second? You had the Jets picking at 4 and 10. You had the Giants picking at 5 and 7. You have, I should say, the Eagles picking at 15 and 18. The Saints picking at 16 and 19. I think the Chiefs are picking 29 and 30. So they got back-to-back first-round picks. Craziness what we're seeing. Saints on the board. A lot of the good wide receivers have been taken. You could pick Garrett Wilson. Match him up with although Ohio State wide receivers, I don't know how they don't work out well in New Orleans for more than like a year. But matching him up with Michael Thomas could be a big deal for them. And you also got interior line, which I think they could use some help in. Jordan Davis would not be a bad pick. Devontae Wyatt, like I said. This is a tough one. This is definitely a tough one. I'm gonna go a little unconventional. They lost their best safety in Marcus Williams, who signed with the Baltimore Ravens, unfortunately. Otherwise, I could have had the Ravens pick Kyle Hamilton. I think you replace him with someone like Kyle Hamilton, you're set. You're set. And he can play multiple positions as well. He's very versatile. He's a really good athlete. I think he'll fit in well in that Saints defense right out of Notre Dame. Chargers need help with the wide receiver position? Hell no. They have enough wide receivers. Pick Trent McDuffie here, cornerback. He's out of Washington. He's going to help them out. They need help on that secondary. We saw that last game. They were like, one thing they proved is they do not need any more help on offense. It is ridiculous what Justin Herbert can do. Absolutely ridiculous. Philadelphia Eagles with their second pick. And here is where I'm going to deviate a little bit. There are a lot of cornerbacks here that I think would make sense for the Eagles to pick. I think Andrew Booth is great. But Kaiir Elam is on the board too. I think they should go corner. I genuinely think they should go corner and build out that secondary. Because I already had them draft Devin Lloyd. You build out that next level, it's going to be great. And I think either one of those guys would be good. That being said, they need someone who can catch the ball, right? They really need someone who can catch the ball. Garrett Wilson proved at Ohio State he can catch the ball. Because I don't know outside of Devontae Smith, no one can catch the ball in that offense. I don't know what's going on there. I absolutely don't know what's going on. Jalen, pick another wide receiver. It's going to work out eventually, Philadelphia. I promise you. It is going to work out eventually. I just don't know when. Hopefully it's this year. New Orleans Saints back on the clock. Here, look, I had him take Kyle Hamilton, which fills a position we'll need. Let's go for a little bit of another need position here. I think you go after. I think this is where Raymond I hope I'm saying that right. Again, this is like one of the guys that I have not done any research on. I will before the draft starts, I promise you. But can't go wrong with a tackle here. Cannot go wrong with a tackle here. Then you got the Pittsburgh Steelers, and they're going to pick quarterback Kenny Pickett. No, they're not. They shouldn't. Actually, yes, I hate the Steelers. Do it. Pick Kenny Pickett, and yeah, pick Kenny Pickett so he can fail. Yeah. The more I think about it, the more I think it just makes too much sense. And the weird thing is, actually, I know I said I wasn't going to do it. I don't have a first round grade on these quarterbacks. But the more I think about it, the Steelers, like, look, they need some help. A running back would not be bad here either. And I know you don't pick the running back in the first round anymore. They need help, man. Sky Moore on the Steelers would be good. Ooh, this is interesting. This is getting... Oh, I don't know, man. Go Trevor Penning. Go tackle. Trevor Penning. He North Dakota. North Dakota. He's not Carson Wentz. Northern Iowa. Iowa offensive lineman cannot fail. It is written in the NFL rule book. Say whatever you want. Here we go. 21 on the clock are the New England Patriots, who are going to pick George Karlaftis. George Karlaftis. He's from Purdue. Edge rusher. Absolute beast of a man. Absolute, like, the finesse moves on this guy, like I said, also great. Strength, he's got it. I think he's going to be a good pick. And let me tell you something. New England Patriots, they know how to develop their defensive players, and he's cheap. Interesting pick here. Aaron Rodgers does not have a quality wide receiver to speak of on his roster right now. And a lot of his wide receivers that he really likes outside of Randall Cobb have been the possessional receivers, the Jordy Nelsons, the Devontae Adams. I'm interested to see what Aaron Rodgers can do with a smaller guy, like 5'11" guy in Sky Moore. I'm really interested to see what he can do. I think he's super electric fast. He's the type of guy that Aaron Rodgers hasn't typically had the opportunity to throw the ball to. I want to see what he can do with him. That's good, and that'll get him some help. Moving on, the Arizona Cardinals. Boy, oh boy, oh boy, this is where we do it. Devontae Wyatt, they could use help on almost any position at this point. Let's pick Devontae Wyatt, interior lineman. He hasn't been picked. He deserves to be picked. Jordan Davis is also still on here. Oh my God. The way this is playing out is so interesting. Offensive line, defensive line, linebacker. I guess so. Okay, that kind of makes sense because they lost. Okay, yeah, I guess that makes sense. I mean, look, head coach, GM, those should also be on their draft needs, but it's not, unfortunately. I'm not going to have them go tackle here. I think. And again, this might be a little unconventional. Because I really don't see the guy you would pick here. Like Leo Channel would be good. Yeah. Sorry, I'm deciding here. Again, I'm doing this right here in front of y'all. So, by the way, thank you for chilling here for 30 minutes with me. Hit that like button, subscribe, hit that notification bell. For the Dallas Cowboys, they need to get better on the offensive line. That offensive line, that legendary offensive line is no longer in place that they used to have. Tyler Smith is available here. Let's see, who else do they have here rated? Kenyon Green, not bad, not a bad guy. First round though, I don't know about all that. Abraham Lucas, that's I know he's gonna be one of those tough like mid-round tackles because those are always a thing. Let's go with Tyler Smith. Higher rated. Let's go with Tyler Smith. They need to build out that offensive line. They really do need to build out that offensive line. Buffalo Bills are on the clock here. They could pick wide receiver, defensive. They got to go interior lineman, man. They got to go interior lineman here. They need to get pressure. They need help getting pressure in the quarterback space, and I think Jordan Davis is the guy to do that. Again, these Georgia, Alabama, different breed of athletes here. Tennessee Titans. Okay, this is the one I've been saving this for. So remember when I said that there were no teams that could pick a quarterback? All right, I lied. There's one team that should pick a quarterback here. There's one team that I think will pick a quarterback here because that contract they gave Ryan Tannehill is god-awful. The only question is, who do you pick? Who's the guy? Who's the guy here? And this is a team that is ready to win. They got the defense. They got the offense. They have the guy in Derrick Henry, King Henry in the backfield. They have help on the outside on the wide receiver position. I'm going to go ride or die with the guy who I think is going to be the most successful quarterback in this draft, Desmond Ridder. If they pull the trigger on Desmond Ridder, who's a winner in college, who produced for the Cincinnati Wildcats, anything's possible. Like they are going to be great. A lot of people are going to say that, oh my God, this is just like he wasn't as good as he was on tape. Say what you want, man. Say what you want. They need a quarterback. Ryan Tannehill's not going to get it done. He had one really good season. Didn't work out well after that. Former Super Bowl defending champions, not the current reigning for defending world champions, but the former ones, who just brought back Tom Brady. Yeah, they like, you want to talk about can't fail here. Can't fail. That's this team. They could pick any position and it wouldn't even matter. Which is why I'm gonna go with. Let's go with. Actually, no. Where is he? Let's go with. They're going to go, I think they should go defensive end here. I think you go defensive end, you help build that out. Jermaine Johnson has not been picked. He deserves to be a first rounder. He's going to be a first rounder. Happy trails, Tampa Bay. Green Bay Packers once again. And again, the Packers picking 28. And where are they? 22. All these teams with their first round picks. I've never seen something like this. This is crazy. They already picked wide receiver. I know they picked a guy last year at cornerback. I think Andrew Booth. Let's go with Andrew Booth. They need help. They just need help. And they need to get younger, better pieces, and Andrew Booth is probably the best piece available at this point. Get him while they're young. In the draft. Excuse me. Kansas City Chiefs, 29. We're almost done here. We're almost done, mercifully. Kansas City Chiefs. Is this... Look, if Sky Moore had fallen to them instead of going to the Packers earlier, would have been the perfect fit. I think he would have fit well on that team and how they do things and the speed and whatnot. The good thing is he got back-to-back picks here, and you can do whatever the hell you want, honestly. Let's go get younger on the interior line, first of all. Pick Travis Jones, because why the hell not? He deserves to be a first rounder. And then we go down. Way down. You get Treylon Burks. Yes, I did not forget about my favorite Arkansas something hog. But yeah, no. Trey Burks, he's got out of... I have like two classes of wide receiver in this draft, and out of that second class, he has the highest upside. So I'm going to go with him here. Bengals. Easy. Who is the best available interior lineman? Kenyon Green. Is there anyone better that I have? Let's see. Oh, Abraham Lucas. Oh, yeah, okay, we're going... Yeah, no. Yeah, we're not going that low. It's going to be Green. Get better at that. Just get better on the line. They need to get better on the line. Finally, by God, finally. Okay, this is like the biggest separation between two first-round picks we have in this draft, probably in history. Is number 2 and number 32. So 30 picks later, we come back, wrap it up in the first round with the Detroit Lions. Hey, man, I'm just saying. No, not Malik Willis. I had them pick, I believe, Stingley, right? I have them pick Stingley. So they already had a cornerback. They need some help wherever they can get it, to be honest with you. Let's go with Leo Chenal. Leo Channel, whatever his name is. Great tape. They're analyzing my draft. But there we go. So I just gave... I already... Am I not signed in? Okay, whatever. Who cares? There we go. I just gave my entire first round prediction for this NFL draft. Let's see if we can put this in some smaller text. There we go. I mean, that's almost got him. There we go. Boom, boom, dog, diggity. So there we go. Those are my 32 picks for the 2022 NFL draft. We're going to find out what happens on draft night. Guys, be sure to hit that like button, subscribe, hit that notification bell so you get notified whenever a new video is released. We'll see you on draft night. Stick around and ask your questions if you're watching this on the draft stream, because I'm going to be playing it before it starts. Be sure to put your questions in the chat. We'll get to them. Leave a super chat. Leave a super thanks on this video as well. So much to do, so much to see. Real Take Sports has got it all for you and me. Keep it real, everyone. Keep it real. The Carolina Panthers enter this year's draft in the worst position of any team, not having their starting quarterback of the future on their roster, knowing that they don't have their starting quarterback of the future on the roster, and also, unfortunately, while they own the 6th overall pick, their next pick isn't until the 4th round. Now, obviously, there are trades that could be involved, but the latest news coming out of Carolina is that Carolina Panthers general manager has informed Sam Darnold that the team is likely going to be adding a quarterback. The quote is, there's a pretty good chance that they're going to be adding a quarterback through this year's draft. And I do not blame the Carolina Panthers for thinking about drafting a quarterback. Really, they should be thinking about drafting a quarterback at some point in this draft, because you know that Cam Newton is not the future. He is the past of this franchise for sure, but he is not the future of this franchise. He was more so of a novelty run, of a throwback run, of a cash grab for the Carolina Panthers to sell tickets. Look, I understood it. It was a marketing ploy. In the long run, it was never going to fix things. Sam Darnold gets there, right? He has a few very good games. He does what Sam Darnold does. He has a few very good games, and then he shows you why many people label him a bust. Compared to some of the other quarterbacks in that draft, I mean, look, Josh Rosen was or still is a very low bar if we're talking about a bust. But, Sam Darnold was a top pick in the draft, one of the top picks in his draft, and he didn't pan out. And we're seeing exactly why through his play in Carolina. It didn't sustain itself. They have a lot of really good pieces. They don't have a good O-line. And I honestly think if their plan is to pick at number 6 and then not pick until the 4th round, they are making a grave mistake. Because they're currently, as I see it right now, there are some quarterbacks like Malik Willis that have tremendous upside. There are some quarterbacks like, I think, a Desmond Ridder, who has amazing upside, larger than any other quarterback in this draft. Then you have the Howells. Then you have the Kenny Pickett's of the world. You have some quarterbacks that are worth it. But at the end of the day, it is better for the Carolina Panthers if they do one of two things. One, they trade down, they get a second-round pick and a first-round pick, and they end. And by the way, there's a lot of teams out there, just so you know, there's a lot of teams with multiple first-round picks that could easily trade up to number 6 and select one of these fantastic players. Because here's the thing. I know we focus. There's a lot of people talking about how, this is one of the worst drafts of all time. They're talking about this being a bad draft because the quarterbacks aren't as good as they were last year, were 2 years ago, were 3 years ago, or they're going to be next year. Outside the quarterback position, this is one of the best drafts I've ever seen. Some of the best prospects I've ever seen. You had the Aiden Hutchinsons, the Trevon Walkers, the Evan Neals, who is a guy that could very well fall to the Carolina Panthers at number 6. And if Evan Neal, who I think is the best offensive lineman, I should say, in this draft, that's the guy you get. You get the cornerstone offensive lineman that you needed. Put him aside Bradley Bozeman. Put him aside that new center you signed. Boom, boom, boom. You have built out a winning offensive line for the next few years. And then, if you have a second-round pick, you can get a Desmond Ridder. You can get a Howe. You can get one of these quarterbacks. You might even get a Malik Willis, although there's going to be a scenario, I think, at least one. It's probably going to end up being 2. At least one of these quarterbacks, and it might end up being Kenny Pickett, is going to go way ahead of where he should go. I honestly do not have any of these quarterbacks rated at a first-round grade. There's a reason for that. I think the risk with these quarterbacks right now in the short term, going to teams that don't know how to develop quarterbacks, it's not worth it. So that's my 2 cents on that. You're the Carolina Panthers. The best case scenario, you trade down, you get multiple picks, and then, you know what? If you got 2 first-round picks, you solidify your defensive position. You solidify any position. Like, there are so many can't misses in this draft. Like I talked about Trevon Walker, a guy like Devin Lloyd, a guy like Nakobe Dean. Like, there are so many great defensive players that would immediately make an immense impact on the Carolina Panthers. You want to fill the hole that Luke Kuechly left? There's your guy in Nakobe Dean. You want to in Devin Lloyd, in a lot of these guys. I mean, again, the list goes on and on and on. But you pick a quarterback at number 6, and then that's where you're at. And if it's Malik Willis, if it's whoever it is, I don't know. I don't know if you're setting them up for success in both the short and long term. As much as the jury is still out on Matt Rule, one thing he has proven, and granted, he's been given a lot of placeholder
sun begins to set in Las Vegas. We're ready to roll. Alan Roach, take it away. Las Vegas, are you ready for the NFL Draft?
Oh, I'm here. Okay. Hey, welcome back to the stream where keeping it real goes right when I'm paying attention to what's going on. Welcome to this stream of the 2022 National Football League Collegiate Draft. So many players, so many teams looking for a chance to actually elevate into the upper echelon of the NFL and an elite category of teams that are competing for a title. This is where it all starts. The NFL Draft. Who's going to go where? We have so many great players. You got a lot of quarterbacks here that people are thinking could go here. You got Malik Willis, Kenny Pickett, Sam Howell, Desmond Ridder, who in my eyes is the best quarterback in the draft, bar none. But you also have running backs, Breece Hall. You also have Kenneth Walker. So much to talk about here. Right now, ESPN, they are introducing the first-round draft picks, the potential first-round draft picks, I should say. And, yeah, it's great. Actually, we'll be right back. They just announced Aiden Hutchinson, who in everyone's eyes, except for apparently Trent Baalke, the GM of the Jacksonville Jaguars, is the best player in this draft. Aiden Hutchinson, you think about Aiden Hutchinson, think Max Crosby, think J.J. Watt, the type of dominant defensive end that is going to change a franchise. I legitimately believe that. Aiden Hutchinson, it looks like he's going to end up in Detroit. He should not end up in Detroit. The Jaguars should be smart enough to take him. I know that Shad Khan is apparently still pushing for Aiden Hutchinson to be the guy. At the end of the day, it is going to be Trent Baalke, the GM of the Jaguars' decision. I really hope this is one where Shad Khan actually one-ups Trent Baalke and says, no, we're taking Aiden Hutchinson. That's the best guy right now. That is no hate on Trayvon Walker. That is no hate on what he's done. But right now, the Jags, what they need is an identity. They need a franchise cornerstone. They have one on the offensive side of the ball in their eyes in Trevor Lawrence. They got to get one on the defensive side of the ball. They got to get an identity on the defensive side of the ball, and that is where Aiden Hutchinson comes into place. Could Trayvon Walker become that guy? Yes. Right now, though, we know 100% certain fact that Aiden Hutchinson is, in fact, that guy. He is as good as we think he is. So there's going to be a lot. There's going to be a lot to talk about as Malik Willis, in the eyes of many, the highest ceiling of any quarterback in this draft. He's got a hell of an arm, kid out of Liberty. It's going to take some time with this one. I legitimately believe Malik Willis, depending on where he goes, he could be very, very good if he goes to the right situation. Do I think that Carolina is going to be that situation? Not necessarily. The Carolina Panthers have proved one thing to us all. They do not know how to develop a quarterback within this current regime. As great as Matt Rule is as an offensive mind, he has not been able to take that quarterback to the next level. You want to say who's he had to work with? Teddy Bridgewater, who when he was with Sean Payton did very well. Who else has he had? He's had Sam Darnold, who did exactly what Sam Darnold was doing in the New York Jets: show up for a few games and then completely, absolutely die. That's what they're working with. That's what they got. We'll see what happens. They have all of the first rounders, the potential first rounders, I should say, and Malik Willis in there. I don't think Malik Willis is going to end up being a first round pick, or he shouldn't end up being a first round pick. I think that's too much pressure on the kid right now. That's not saying he can't live up to it. People want to say I'm doubting him. Say what you want. That's not what I said. But picking him here in the first round and picking him 6th overall, if that's what the Carolina Panthers in fact want to do, because apparently it's between Malik Willis and Kenny Pickett, quarterback out of Pittsburgh. 42 touchdowns, by the way. Kenny Pickett, we'll talk about him in just a little bit. Not saying he's a bad quarterback, not saying he's going to be a bust, but it's about where he goes, when he goes, and the team around him and what that team needs. The Carolina Panthers, right now, they need to build out that team a lot more than they have. Number 6, you could get a guy like Evan Neal. Number 6, you could get a guy like Chris Olave. You could get an extra body, even on the defensive side of the ball. You could pick up, Nakobe Dean, even who I think is severely underrated in this draft, linebacker out of Georgia. So, a lot of things to happen here. Liam is in the chat saying, Real Take has more than one moderator. Adrenaline in my soul. Something, Liam O. We love to see it, Liam. Welcome back. Again, we are just less than 20 minutes now away from the kickoff, from the commissioner coming out and announcing that finally, by God, finally, the Jags are on the clock. Some things never change. We're in the exact same spot we were a year ago. The Jacksonville Jaguars are still on the clock. They had a really bad season last year, mostly because they had a really bad coaching hire in Urban Meyer, who did absolutely everything he could do to alienate players, alienate the owner, alienate the team, and alienate the fans. That Urban Meyer lost a lot of respect amongst a lot of people last year with the stuff that he pulled as the Jaguars head coach. And honestly, he is the reason that they are here. He is the reason that they are picking number 1 overall. There's no bones about it. Liam in the chat says, no Wrestle Talk on Tuesday. It's coming back. We decided to take a little bit of a break after WrestleMania. It is coming back, though. It is coming back. Not this following week. Not this week, but the following week. We'll be back on youtube.com/Real Take Wrestling. But we will be back. And with a little bit of a rebrand. So watch out for that. Go to youtube.com/Real Take Wrestling. Subscribe. As we are just about 15 minutes away from the NFL draft officially kicking off here in Las Vegas. So let's run down some superlatives here, because I know a lot of people are wondering who could fall, who could get drafted a lot higher than they probably should be. Kenny Pickett's the guy who's going to get drafted likely higher than he should be. It's either going to be Kenny Pickett or Malik Willis in my eyes. We'll see what happens. There's a very, who knows? There's a chance that the New York Giants say, we got to get a guard, and at number 5 overall take Zion Johnson, who is not a bad guard, but at number 5 overall and not a great value pick. Look for some teams to trade down, by the way. I think that's going to happen at some point in this draft. It's got to happen. Teams will trade down. Teams will do what they got to do, because there are a lot of teams with multiple first-round picks. And it's weird because I said this in the mock draft that I did. The first-round picks for all of these teams are like right next to each other. Like you have the Giants picking at number 5 and number 7. You have the Eagles picking, I believe, at like number 13 and number 19. The Saints have a very similar thing. And then you have the Kansas City Chiefs picking 30 and 31. So it's going to be interesting. It's going to be very, very interesting to see what happens here. Guys, great moment. If you're just joining us, hit that like button, subscribe, hit that notification bell so you get notified whenever a new video is released. 14 minutes, 43 seconds away from the NFL draft officially beginning. We know that they're going to take like an hour to announce the first pick, even though the Jaguars are probably going to put it in the very, very, very second that they get that cue card. We'll see what happens, though. Before we talk about the Jacksonville Jaguars and who they might pick and where that might be going, I do want to talk about a player who's likely going to fall in this draft, and that is Derek Stingley. Derek Stingley Jr. out of Louisiana State University, to me, is outside of Aiden Hutchinson, I think he is the most talented player in this draft. I have him ranked second on my big board. The reason I have him ranked second on my big board is because what his season, like, people want to say last year that he had a bad season. And you know what? It wasn't great. It wasn't great. That doesn't mean the talent's not still there. And I know that's going to scare people away. I think Derek Stingley, if we are talking about superstar Hall of Fame potential, and I have to bet on a guy who's not named Aiden Hutchinson, I'm betting the chips. I'm betting everything, the house, all in. To steal a phrase from AEW, I'm all in on Derek Stingley. That is how much I believe in his ability as a coverage corner. He is, I think he's the best cover corner in this draft, and that is that's no snipe on anyone else. I think McDuffie and Gardner and all these other guys are amazing. But I just happen to think Derek Stingley's on a different level. That is just my opinion. It is one man's opinion. Let me know what you guys think, though, in the chat. Hit that like button, subscribe, hit that notification bell so you get notified whenever a new video is released. Liam says, you do good. Well-deserved break. It has been a break of sorts, from the podcast. We've both been very busy at work, but it be like that. Guys, let me know. We are just about 13 minutes away from the draft kicking off. Put your questions in the chat. Hit that like button. Let's get this going because the NFL draft is here. And I do want to also talk about a potential surprise that we could see at number 26. The Tennessee Titans are in a position where they have their entire team built out. They have a squad ready to go win a title. The one piece that you could argue that they are severely missing is a quarterback. Before you say that Ryan Tannehill is the answer, really think about it. He had one very good year in 2019. Or sorry, not 2019, 2020. He had one very good year where he had 37 touchdowns, 7 interceptions, blew people away, got paid a fat contract. Last year, disappointed. In the moment that they needed him most, he choked. He's expensive. You can't rely on him in the big moments. Now is the time for the Titans to capitalize on what they have because their window to win is shrinking every single day. We saw what happened with their offensive line. It's not going to be the same like it used to be. We'll get Andrew on the phone eventually throughout this draft to talk about that, but the Tennessee Titans here, 26, you take Desmond Ridder. I think you take Desmond Ridder, the guy who's been proven to win, the guy who's proven that he can be an NFL starter, the guy who is a leader, the guy who people respect, the guy who's been there in the big moments, won a lot of games, and been one of the biggest reasons why they won those games. And he's cheaper, he's younger, he's got more upside at this point. I think Desmond Ridder is the guy. I would not be mad if they took Malik Willis either. I think Malik Willis in that situation, that would be a great situation for him to thrive. Because you don't have to rely on him throwing the ball every single down. You can rely and lean on Derrick Henry putting in the bulk of the work, which he's going to do anyway. If Tannehill is starting, he's going to do that anyway. With Tannehill, you have the opportunity to move that contract. I think the Tennessee Titans should do whatever it takes. Everything in every fiber of their being should be to find the next guy in this draft and move on. Because I think that is the best situation for any of these quarterbacks to go to be successful. I really do. Prove me wrong. They're probably going to take a cornerback because that's what they do. Is draft and that cornerback is probably not going to play. Or he's going to get traded, released, or whatever after a year, because that's what happens to all of the Titans' draft picks. Their draft picks just don't pan out like they should. So we'll see what happens with that. 9 minutes, 19 seconds away from the NFL draft officially kicking off. 9 minutes, 19. Great moment to hit that like button, subscribe, hit that notification bell. So much to talk about here, guys. The NFL draft. The NFL draft. Where heroes are made, people. This is where dreams come true and heroes are made. The legends of tomorrow, the Hall of Famers will be drafted today. Think about that. Really think about that. And I know that there's a bit of a poll going on online. There's an over-under on how many quarterbacks are going to be taken. People are saying over-under on 3. I'm going to take the under. It's going to be 2. This is not what I'm saying should happen. It's what is likely going to happen because teams are going to reach for quarterbacks. We know we talk about quarterbacks here a lot, but number 6, we know that the Panthers said that they are going to go out and there's a high chance that they're going to take a quarterback. I think number 6 is too high. If you can trade down, possibly with the Giants, possibly with the Eagles, you might end up, if the Saints are willing to part with their picks, I think those are like right at the end of the teens, right into the 20s. If you can get them to give both their picks, that would be ideal because you would be able to jump Pittsburgh, who is the other team you're really competing with to get a quarterback here. You'd be able to jump Pittsburgh still, get the guy of your picking, and then you'd be able to build upon that with your other pick. And again, the Panthers have a situation here. Do not be surprised. And I know this is going to sound weird. Do not be surprised if the Panthers pick Sam Howell. 6'1", 218 pounds, Sam Howell out of North Carolina. He had a much more productive career than his not his predecessor per se. I mean, it was basically his predecessor in Mitch Trubisky. Last year, he had a bit of a down year. That kind of hurt his draft stock. But before that, it was 33 touchdowns, 4 interceptions, 24 touchdowns, 9 interceptions. Still had an amazing year. A bit down, but still had an amazing year. He lost 2 of his best wide receivers. So if he's the guy that they end up picking, that's also a great pick. The only guy that I could see being a problem here would be Kenny Pickett. I don't think it should be Kenny Pickett. I think Kenny Pickett's a lot more raw than people think. I believe that Kenny Pickett, while the upside is there, while the downside isn't that bad right now, the upside is not that high. I think that's what he's going to prove throughout his NFL career. His upside is not that high.
At a lot of positions. Bottom line is they want impact players everywhere. But that doesn't mean the Jets are going to go with this.
Got some news from the Jets.
Robert Saleh told me you can be safe and aggressive.
Robert Saleh saying you can be safe but still aggressive. So look for them to take an impact player here. Chris Olave, I'm telling you, the Jets, you draft.
QB is on the table. Now, here's Diana Rossini with more on the Giants.
Kimberly, the New York Giants have lots.
To me, GM Howie Roseman said, quote, "Our mindset is to remain flexible throughout the draft and take advantage of any opportunities that might arise." Translation, let's make a deal. The
Eagles are looking to make a deal this via Sal Paolantonio.
Get a blue chip prospect in this draft. Their focus, defensive line, cornerback, and wide receiver.
Defensive line, cornerback, wide receiver for the Philadelphia Eagles.
Sal, people in this Chiefs building know that there is perhaps no GM in a better position to be aggressive in this first round than their own Brett Veach. 12 picks total, 2 in each of the first 4 rounds, and some real needs to fill in order for Kansas City to stay in the Super Bowl hunt. I've talked to a number of teams that expect the Chiefs to potentially move into the early 20s. They have the motivation to get an impact cornerback.
The Chiefs looking to move into the early
They
20s.
have the ammunition to get who they want. Greeny?
All right, Jeff, thank you. And so you get a sense we could have a lot of action tonight in the way of trades. It is about as unpredictable a first round as we can ever remember. Meanwhile, as always, Susie Culver is in the green room doing interviews with some of the players, and she's standing by with one whose name we expect to hear very early. Susie?
That's right. Aiden Hutchinson's name has been in the conversation.
Here we go. 2 minutes away from the NFL draft officially kicking off. My bad for the technical difficulties. We are working through it, though. Oh, my God. 2 minutes away from the NFL draft. The Jacksonville Jaguars, the push and pull has been there. Shad Khan does not want to take Trayvon Walker, while Trent Baalke committed. He is basically committed at this point to taking Trayvon Walker. Something's got to give here. At some point, Shad Khan knows what he's got to do. Aiden Hutchinson is the best player in this draft, bar none. There is no question here about who the Jaguars should take at 1 unless they trade down. If you want Trayvon Walker that bad, you can trade down, get that guy you want at some later point. But for the Jags right now to decide that Aiden Hutchinson is not the guy is an indictment. It is an indictment on the Jags, and it's exactly why. Year in, year out, they are still picking at the bottom of the draft. I guarantee you, as good as Trayvon Walker is, as great as he's likely going to be, they are going to miss out on they are going to miss out on the one guy in this draft one of the two guys in this draft that I think is going to be a Hall of Famer. He has the biggest upside of anyone. He's going to be a Hall of Famer. He's going to end up being on the leading list of all-time sacks, of all-time sackers, whatever you want to call it, pass rushers in the NFL. It's Aiden Hutchinson's moment. It's his time. It is the Jaguars' time to finally pick themselves up out of obscurity, out of laughability, the clown noses. There's a reason people wear them, because nobody takes your franchise seriously. You're planning on playing half your games in London. You're not endearing yourself to the community of Jacksonville. Do something about it. Draft great players. It's time to start taking your team seriously, Shad Khan. It's time to start taking yourself as an owner seriously, and it's time to get rid of people like Trent Baalke, who all they do is make wrong decision after wrong decision after wrong decision. That's all you've done, whether it was the hiring of Urban Meyer, whether it was picking a guy in Blake Bortles that everybody knew wasn't going to be the guy, or whether it was picking a guy like Blaine Gabbert before that, whether it was picking a guy, or whether it was deciding not to pay Jalen Ramsey, doing everything that the Jags have done up until this point. They have an opportunity here. 2 back-to-back years with the number 1 overall pick. This doesn't happen to everyone, unless you're the Cleveland Browns. And when it does, you have the potential to change your franchise forever. Let this be your Myles Garrett. Let this be your Myles Garrett, Jacksonville. You have a moment. Take advantage of it. Bask in it. We are so close here. The NFL draft is about to be underway. Get your questions in the chat. Hit that like button. Subscribe and hit that notification bell so you get notified whenever a new video is released. The pre-draft package is playing. We're about to find out whose dream is going to come true. The over-under on quarterbacks it's 3. I'm going taking the under. It's going to be 2 quarterbacks maximum. 2 quarterbacks maximum. A minimum of 0. There very well could be no quarterbacks, and it would be a good decision by all teams. From Las Vegas, the NFL draft is here. We are awaiting the commissioner to come out and announce that the Jacksonville Jaguars are officially on the clock. 6 concurrent viewers, 9 likes. Nice. 500,000 strong. Oh, my God. In Las Vegas, it is a crazy sight. So many people, a literal sea of people at the NFL draft stage in Las Vegas as we prepare for Commissioner Roger Goodell to make his way and announce that the Jags are on the clock. The Jacksonville Jaguars, again, if it's not Aiden Hutchinson, we know the guy who it's going to be. It's going to be Trayvon Walker, who, I will say this again, not a bad pick. But if you're talking to me about guys who are born to play football, who are born to be the number 1 overall pick, it doesn't get better than Aiden Hutchinson. That's just my opinion. Again, Trayvon Walker will be good. He will be very good. He could be great. But man, oh man, you can't let a guy like Aiden Hutchinson fall. And look, you know who's going to benefit from all this? If the Jags do not end up doing the right decision and picking Aiden Hutchinson, you know what's going to happen? Detroit, for the second year in a row, is going to have a guy who they didn't expect to be there fall into their lap. That's what's going to happen. Last year, it was Penei Sewell. This year, it's going to be Aiden Hutchinson. And he's going to be eating kneecaps back home in the state of Michigan. But we'll see. We will see indeed. As we get underway here, guys, remember to hit that like button, subscribe, hit that notification bell.
Runs up to 90 minutes on a single charge. That's why Ego is the #1 rated brand in cordless outdoor power. Exclusively Lowe's, Ace, and Ego authorized dealers. Are you haunted by your cable service? Have you noticed strange, frightening fees on your monthly bill? Do you experience feeling...
We are ready to roll, people. We are ready to roll. Graphics are all ready. It's going to be a fun ride. The 2022 NFL Draft. Just like the NBA, though, the NFL loves themselves some commercials, so we're going to get a shiznit ton of commercials before anything is really underway. Because that's the way it is. Capitalism is afoot, ladies and gentlemen. Capitalism is afoot.
Want a worry-free way to kill bugs? Zevo traps use light, not odors or
So I look through my NFL Draft guide.
flying insects. They work continuously, so you don't have to.
Ike Ekwonu. That's another guy who I think is going to go probably farther than he should. Or higher than he should. I think Evan Neal, to me, is the best defense or offensive tackle in this draft. I think the Jets really need to get some help, and they need a versatile offensive lineman. There's no one more versatile, I think, on the offensive line than Evan Neal. Evan Neal has played almost every position on the offensive line, bar center. You can move him around, and he will protect. He will protect your young investment, your young quarterback in Zach Wilson. You bet that. Bet your sweet Bippy. Again, the guy who many people think is going to be the #1 overall pick, Travon Walker. Look, the dude, he took Georgia. He helped Georgia win a national championship. He wasn't the only guy. Nakobe Dean can take credit for it. Jordan Davis can take credit for it. There's a lot of people who are going to take credit for that national championship. It was a team effort. It was a collective team effort. Travon Walker was a big part of that. 7.5 tackles for a loss, 6 sacks. He made an impact in his 12 games in Alabama. Or sorry, it was 15 games because of the playoff. But his 15 games in Georgia. But I don't think it was enough. I don't think it's enough for him to warrant being drafted over Aiden Hutchinson. I don't think, to be fair, I don't think anyone bar Derek Stingley Jr. should be drafted before Aiden Hutchinson. If the Jags decided between those two, that'd be fine in my eyes. I think that highly of Derek Stingley, but we'll see. They are back finally. They are everything's momentarily in the NFL draft. Everything happens momentarily. The crowd is here, loud and proud. Here we go. Commissioner Roger Goodell on his way to announce that the pick is in. He is not, that the Jacksonville Jaguars are on the clock. He is not announcing any picks. Here we go. Roger Goodell on his way in Las Vegas with Darren Waller and Derek Carr at his side, quarterback and tight end of the Las Vegas Raiders. Here we go. Goodell kicking off the NFL draft. He's asking them to boo him. NFL fans, don't boo him. Turn your back. Don't give him the pleasure of being booed.
Welcome to the 22 NFL Draft.
Oh, boo, the 2022 Roger.
As you can see, I brought some friends here with me, which you might recognize.
He brought friends, Derek Carr, Darren Waller,
Super Bowl MVP, Marcus Allen.
Marcus Allen as well. Hall of Famer. Great running back in his day for the Oakland Raiders.
Pro Bowlers Derek Carr and Darren Waller.
Darren Waller, former Baltimore Raven, unfortunately. But hey, fortunately, he got himself healthy. We love to see that.
We have 32 sections out here of some of our season ticket holders
All right, come on, Roger. Let's get to it. Let's get to it so we can talk about the Jaguars making the mistake of their lifetime. Or one of the mistakes of their lifetime. They seem to. The Jags have a lot of mistakes that they made, fellas.
People here in Las Vegas tonight for the draft, so congratulations to you guys. Thank you for being here. And as I look around in this fan section,
Oh my God, Roger Goodell is still talking. All right, if Roger Goodell is going to continue talking, I am going to continue talking. We have a quarterback in Derek Carr who's sitting right over there, who's standing, I should say, right on the stage. A guy who a lot of people think is going to end up being like Derek Carr is Kenny Pickett. I've said it before, I will say it again. Kenny Pickett, as Ice Cube is making his way, they are really making a whole thing about this NFL draft. Ice Cube making his way up to the podium. He's from Oakland. Sorry, he's from Compton. He's not from Las Vegas.
Cube, you got something to say to the Raiders fans and all the other fans here today?
All right, we'll see what Cube's got to say. Cube screaming into the mic, causing disruptions throughout this stadium. Ice Cube destroying the ears of everybody in a 50-mile radius. Let's get it on. Come on. Let's go. The NFL draft. Come on. Who cares about this? Oh, God. Now Derek Carr's got to give a speech. Then Darren Waller's going to give a speech. He's going to get a standing ovation. And then Marcus Allen's going to give a speech. The draft was supposed to start at 8. It's 8:10, and they haven't even opened the damn thing. Capitalism is afoot, ladies and gentlemen. Capitalism is afoot. Here we go. The draft is open, and the Jacksonville Jaguars are now officially on the clock here. The Jacksonville Jaguars, who last year, they picked up their guy, Trevor Lawrence, quarterback. Fast forward to a year later, they are in the same exact situation they were in last year. Worst record in the league. #1 overall pick. They now have their quarterback of the future, they believe, in Trevor Lawrence. Now the question is, do they get their defensive stalwart? That question's actually been answered. Do they? But the only question that remains is who that defensive stalwart will end up being. Is it going to be Trevon Walker? Or is it going to be the consensus best player in this draft, Aiden Hutchinson? The dynamic here that's developed between Shad Khan and Trent Baalke, I think, is growing to be toxic, especially if Aiden Hutchinson ends up going to Detroit at #2 and thrives there. We'll see, though. We will see. 8 minutes, 50 seconds is how long they have. We have 8 teams with multiple first-round picks in this draft. I believe that's an NFL record because there have been a lot of trades over the past year and a half that have led up to this moment. We have 8 teams with multiple first-round picks. We also have 8 teams with 0 first-round picks. You have the Los Angeles Rams who mortgaged their entire future to get a Super Bowl ring, and it worked. They also have the Chicago Bears who mortgaged a lot to get Justin Fields. So we're going to end up seeing how that works out. Carson Wentz to Indianapolis cost them their first-round pick. The Deshaun Watson trade cost the Cleveland Browns their first-round picks. Las Vegas Raiders also don't have their first-round picks. You also have the Miami Dolphins, San Francisco 49ers picked Trey Lance last year, and, of course, the Denver Broncos, all without their first-round pick. Denver, of course, traded for Russell Wilson, getting Russell Wilson for multiple first-round picks. Also trading away Drew Lock and Noah Fant, their great tight end, in exchange. There's going to be a team. One of those teams that I just mentioned is going to find a way to trade up and pick a guy. The team that I think it could be is going to be the Raiders. We're in Vegas. We're in Vegas. They have some capital. They can make it happen. I think it's time for them to do it. Again, they're showing highlights of Aiden Hutchinson, who, again, I think up until maybe a week ago, everyone basically agreed that Aiden Hutchinson was going to be a Jaguar. They had already made the jersey. This dude had what, three sack games last year? 14 sacks in 14 games. Aiden Hutchinson, he's a leader on that team, first-team All-American. He was a Heisman Trophy runner-up. He wasn't just there at the ceremony. He wasn't in third place and get those token votes. He was the runner-up for the Heisman Trophy behind Bryce Young. This is an impact, franchise-changing player. Immediately changes the culture, the really disgusting, deplorable culture that the Jaguars have had. I am not saying that Trayvon Walker doesn't do it. 6'5", 272 pounds, an absolute behemoth. He's got the power to make it happen. The only question that remains with him is that going to immediately translate, I should say, to the NFL level? A lot of people would say not immediately. He's got some things he's got to work on. He's got to work on fighting through that big man. He's got to get used to those NFL schemes. That is not saying he can't do it, but Aiden Hutchinson will have it down day one. Everyone knows it. He's got a high motor. Again, it doesn't make sense. It just does not make sense here. We'll see, though. Trayvon Walker back with his family. Jaguars on the clock. No call yet in the Walker household. He just picked up his phone. Trayvon Walker just picked up his phone as ESPN cut out. So again, the pick is not in yet. We will see when that pick is in. But it's going to be interesting. Do also think the Jaguars might be fielding an offer or two to trade down. Well, that's the reports. They might be fielding an offer or two to trade down. Don't be surprised if that ends up happening as well. Here we go. It's official. The pick is in, folks. The Jacksonville Jaguars have officially decided that the pick is in. There is no trade. We officially now know, the Jags at least know who they're going to pick. Suzy Colbert's in the green room. Trayvon Walker is not in the green room. He is at home with his family, enjoying the draft from home.
Right now, there's calm in Jacksonville. Doug Peterson telling me that he feels so confident at all the meetings, and the player that they're taking is a high-character guy who fits in their system, so it will be...
So, okay, word is Doug Peterson said high-character guy who fits in their system. They are calm. They are collected with that pick. Tony Khan is in the draft room. Big shout out to TK. It means that we know who it's going to be. It's going to be Trayvon Walker. Aiden Hutchinson, they just cut to him. No phone call, nothing. So look for this. Trayvon Walker going number 1. Aiden Hutchinson going number 2. Because there's no way that the Detroit Lions pass up a Michigan product who is likely the only Hall of Famer in this draft. Sweet Caroline being sung in Las Vegas, as is tradition. Ike Ekwonu is the best player in this draft. I don't know about all that. I actually think he's undersized. We'll see, though. Everyone knows everything until it happens. Pick is in. We are waiting for Commissioner Roger Goodell to come out and officially announce who the number 1 pick in the 2022 National Football League Collegiate Football Draft is. I said football twice. It be like that.
All right, so I'm told that the commissioner is ready to make his way out to the stage.
Commissioner is ready.
For the second consecutive year, we'll be making the first pick in the
Jaguars making their second consecutive first overall pick as Commissioner Roger Goodell prepares to come out and announce who the defensive end of the future for this franchise is going to be. Is it going to be Trayvon Walker or is it going to be Aiden Hutchinson? Let's listen to the commissioner.
With the first pick in the 2022 NFL Draft, the Jacksonville Jaguars select Trayvon Walker,
Trevon Walker, linebacker, is what they said is going number 1 overall. And if you ask me, look, well built like a brick house, versatile defender who can play across all fronts. He's got a high motor. He'll chase them down into the secondary. He'll rush the passer. He'll do everything you want. Is he as polished as you want him to be? Not necessarily. But that is not why you take a guy number 1 overall. You take a guy you believe can be that guy. You take a guy for what his ceiling is. And look, if that's what the Jacksonville Jaguars decided, that's fine. The only downside is that they did not get Aiden Hutchinson. I think as great as Trayvon Walker is going to be, and I'm sorry I'm mispronouncing his name, as great as Trayvon Walker is going to be, not drafting Aiden Hutchinson is going to be a decision that in 10 years the Jags are going to look back on and be like, what could have been? Because it's these types of decisions that keep happening in Jacksonville. And again, I don't want to take away from Trayvon Walker what he can do. He helped lead Georgia to a national championship as a defensive stalwart for them. 7.5 tackles for a loss. The dude had 6 sacks, so he contributed greatly to that Georgia defense. But, I'm telling you, there is something about these damn Jaguars and not coming up in big moments, as the Detroit Lions are on the clock right now. There's something about the Jacksonville Jaguars, man. Every year it just seems like they find a way to muck it up. We'll see if they do. Trayvon Walker, I think, is going to be a really good player. I just think Aiden Hutchinson should have been the guy here. I just really do. History will tell us if I'm right. History will tell us if Mel Kiper was right. We'll find out eventually, one day. Officially, the pick is in for the Detroit Lions. So, fast and furious here as the Detroit Lions have officially placed their pick. The commissioner will be announcing it soon. We'll see, though. Number 3. Sorry, number 2, I should say.
No, he wasn't in a 3 technique every snap. There were plenty of third down snaps where he was one-on-one against guys like Evan Neal, playing against Alabama, where, you know what,
look, and for all the gruff I just gave the Jaguars for taking Trayvon Walker, they got a great player. I really do want to emphasize that. They got a great player. Just like the team that has just announced their pick is in the Detroit Lions are about to get a great player. Again, last year it was Penei Sewell. This year it's going to be Aiden Hutchinson dropping to them unexpectedly. It's an easy pick. Here we go. I think the commissioner is about to be on his way out, actually, to announce this pick. That's interesting. That pick was in almost immediately. That means that the Lions, Dan Campbell and co., they know exactly what they do. You want a guy who can eat kneecaps. This is the guy. Detroit, pick is in. Is it going to be the Michigan product, Aiden Hutchinson? Let's listen to the commissioner.
With the second pick in the 2022 NFL Draft, the Detroit Lions select Aiden Hutchinson, defensive end, Michigan.
There is no other choice. If you are the Detroit Lions at this stage, there is no other choice than picking the best player in this draft, the player that many people believe has Hall of Fame potential. Aiden Hutchinson, 62 tackles in 2021, 16.5 tackles for a loss, 14 sacks. Attributes are amazing. Prolific pass rusher, strong, fast, big. Think J.J. Watt. He's relentless, hyper athletic, top tier production, great length, 6'7", 260 pounds, brick house. This guy is a can't miss. He is the guy. He is the one guy in this draft. You want to say can't miss? He's can't miss. That's Aiden Hutchinson. As he puts on the hat, he's staying home, going to Michigan. He's going to be a Detroit Lion. So we got Trevon Walker, Aiden Hutchinson going 1 and 2 here in this NFL draft. Dan Campbell, I mean, look, this is amazing for Dan Campbell and the Detroit Lions because this has happened back-to-back years now. Back-to-back years. They have been able to take advantage of other people's decisions not to pick the best player on the board. Last year, it was Penei Sewell falling to them after the Cincinnati Bengals refused to take Penei Sewell. Instead, they took Jamar Chase. Worked out well for the Bengals. Also worked out well for Detroit because Detroit got a guy who is very apt at eating kneecaps, who was out there defending Jared Goff's blindside. Aiden Hutchinson is going to be a monstrous nightmare for him in practice. That's the one guy you really want to bring Penei Sewell to the next level. Put him alongside Aiden Hutchinson, or right up front in Aiden Hutchinson. Let's see how he does. It's going to be great.
He's a good athlete. If you're Detroit right now, you're going, thank you. And simply put, doesn't he just fit with Detroit? Dan Campbell wants to bite elbows and knees and scratch toes.
Aiden Hutchinson, Travon Walker, number 1, number 2, as we move on to the number 3 overall pick, which is a team that you could argue, or that many people actually thought was the worst team in pro football for a while, given what they were working with or lack of what they were working with, but actually proved a lot of people wrong. The Houston Texans on the clock here. Houston Texans, of course, traded away their former first-round pick from 2017 in Deshaun Watson. Got a whole host of picks from Cleveland for that. Got a whole host of assets for that. They also had Davis Mills. Don't look for them to take a quarterback this year. You're in it for the long haul if you are the Houston Texans. You're in it for the long haul. Take a defensive guy. Take someone who can help build out your defense. There's a few people you could take. Kayvon Thibodeau alongside Lovie Smith. I said it in my mock draft. Kayvon Thibodeau here would be a great pick for the Houston Texans. Lovie Smith is the best person. There's nobody else better I could ask to develop someone with the raw athletic ability of a Kayvon Thibodeau. And if Lovie Smith is there and Kayvon Thibodeau can learn and grow with him, I'm telling you, that is going to be just absolutely stupendous for his future in the NFL. MJ in the chat says, Seattle love his extra picks. Do they trade into the teens? They very well could. If they feel like, I don't know, we'll see. We'll see. Maybe the Panthers trade down and they trade up. We'll see. But we got time here. We got time here as the Houston Texans pick is in. We are just moments away from the NFL Commissioner, Roger Goodell, making his way down and announcing this pick for the Houston Texans. Are they going to go defense here? Do they go Eke Ekwonu, a defensive or offensive tackle? We're going to find out. I don't know. You got Laramie Tunsil. I don't think the offensive tackle is that much of a need. And if you want to take an offensive lineman in this draft, take the most versatile one. Take the biggest one. Take the best one in Evan Neal. Battle-tested big boy from Alabama. That's what I would do. We'll see what they end up doing, though. We'll see. It's going to be a wild one, isn't it? Here we go. Team's moving fast and furious. Pick is in. Let's see. The pick is in. Roger Goodell is on his way. The Houston Texans. Do they go Kayvon Thibodeau? Do they go the best defensive player on the board right now and the guy who Lovie Smith can mold into the next great pass rusher of this era? We're going to find out, man. We're going to find out in just a little bit, it looks like. The corners are on the board, as Greeny is talking about here. Corners on the board. There's a lot of people on the board. Here we go. Commissioner Goodell out to announce Houston Texans' 3rd overall pick. Let's see who it is.
With the 3rd pick in the 2022 NFL Draft, the Houston Texans select Derek Stingley Jr.
There we go. The guy who I said is going to be the best cornerback in this draft, Derek Stingley Jr. He is exactly who I thought he was. The best cover corner in this draft. Forget about his bad 2021 season. 2020 is all I needed to see. It's all I needed to know. The greatness, the shutdown ability, the island that Derek Stingley is going to put wide receivers on in his NFL tenure. I am telling you, don't doubt him. 6 feet, 190 pounds, faster than all hell. Exactly what you want out of a cornerback. This is a guy who will stay with those wide receivers. He's able to get up there for those jump balls. He is smooth as all hell, as Booger McFarland just said. I'm telling you. Don't doubt this guy. All people have done throughout this whole draft process is doubt his ability, doubt his talent, doubt him after what was a not a great year. Everyone knows it, but not everyone has a great year every year. I am telling you, Derek Stingley Jr., they are not going to regret this pick. The Houston Texans came in and said they need to build it out. They need to get a great Derek Stingley, to me, best guy they could take here. Paul Hawking, cornerback. Man, oh man, I can't wait to see him jumping and getting those picks in Houston. It's going to be amazing. Derek Stingley, 3rd overall, exactly where he belongs, right up there in the top 3. As we are about to enter a string, of New York, guys being picked, teams. We're about to enter a streak of New York teams that are going to be coming up. So what better way, I thought at least, to talk about these New York teams than to bring in my resident New Yorker, everyone's favorite co-host for Real Take, good old, as I try to fix this. Say something, Ben.
I'm making shrimp right now.
He's making shrimp right now while the Jets are on the clock. Resident Giants fan, resident New Yorker, 6 feet 7 inches of total badassery. Ben Greenberger is on the phone. Ben, talk to me. What do you think about these first 3 picks we've got so far?
I'll give you my thoughts on each one because that's what you asked. I'm gonna answer your question. So I always have a problem with this thing in the draft where we decide that guys are better at football since they stopped playing football. Like, here's my example. Travon Walker. Pre-draft season, everybody kind of had him as, he's maybe in the if he's lucky, he'll be in the 8 to end of the playoff or like start of the playoff teams range, right? So anywhere from that, say like 9 to 18 range. And then in the time that he's not been playing football, we've decided that he's the best player in the draft. I don't know who decided that. Leave it to Jacksonville. There's probably a reason that they've been picking at the top of the draft for the past,
Balky, long
time.
Like Shad Khan knows exactly how to pick him. He will put the people in place to make the wrong decision every single time.
Yeah, there's reasons that organizations fail. So, that I'm not saying Travon Walker's going to be a bad player. I'm sure he'll be a fine football player, but in terms of that pick, it's probably not the best guy to take there. There were probably better football players.
Aiden Hutchinson. He was right there. He was right
and that's
there.
Just an absolute no-brainer for the Lions. Hometown guy. He's a Dan Campbell guy. That's you get to do the thing now where you use a baseball analogy for the draft. We love saying he knocked it out of the park because it is baseball season. The Lions absolutely knocked it out of the park with that one. So, that's home run pick. You can just keep throwing in all the baseball terms.
This is 2 years in a row.
Home run pick.
2 years in a row that the Lions have had a guy who they didn't think was going to be available fall right in their lap, and Dan Campbell's just been a happy-ass camper sitting there like, okay, so that's cool with me.
Yeah, and he's getting his big boys. Dan Campbell, at his heart, was just a little too athletic to be an offensive lineman, so he played tight end, but he's drafting his people right now. He got Sewell last year. He's getting a defensive lineman this year. He's getting guys that he can wrestle with in training camp. He's going to be very happy. So, I mean, yeah, easy pick for the Lions there. The Stingley pick with the Texans, I told you what I thought of him the last time I was on your show. He's going to be a great player if he's healthy.
I think he's going to be. He's going to be healthy. He is one of 2 future Hall of Famers in this draft.
You're that high on him. Who's your other one?
Oh, Aiden Hutchinson.
Hutchinson, okay.
No brainer. No.
Yeah.
Aiden Hutchinson. Like, okay, again, it's the caveat with everyone. If they stay healthy, Aiden Hutchinson stays healthy, he is going to be in the Hall of Fame. J.J. Watt.
Yeah.
He is the second coming of J.J. Watt. He might even be better.
Really?
Yeah.
Do you think he's as corny as J.J. Watt could be?
No, he's much cooler than J.J. Watt.
Okay, that's good.
Significantly cooler than J.J. Watt.
Yeah, that's important.
Yes, it is. All right, here we go. The pick is in for the New York Football Jets. Yes, the New York Football Jets. Although, if you watch their play on the field, you could hardly tell that they play football. New York Jets on the clock here. A lot of people they could go. Look, best player available right now, Kayvon Thibodeau. Is that who they go, or do they go? Actually, we're about to find out because Jets pick is in. Let's see.
I know you're a Thibodeau guy. I'll give you my thoughts on Thibodeau after this. Who do you think it's going to be?
I mean, it's either Thibodeau or Neal. It's the only 2 places you could go here if you're the Jets. The only 2 places you could go. Although something tells me they're going to reach for a wide receiver. Let's find out. Here we go. Commissioner Goodell making his way. New York Football Jets. Who you got?
With the 4th pick in the 2022 NFL Draft, the New York Jets select Sauce Gardner.
Oh my
I was
goodness!
just gonna say it's gonna be Sauce. I was gonna say it's gonna be the corner, but I didn't want to interrupt your lead-in. But
Cincinnati.
I was pretty sure that was gonna be the corner there. People love Sauce Gardner. They think this guy's gonna be, as you were saying, they have him as being one of the Hall of Famers out of this draft. They love Sauce.
Sauce Gardner. People said that he was better than Derek Stingley. This is the guy who many people said was going to be the best cornerback in this draft. I mean, look, shutdown corner. He has the ability to be a shutdown corner. He's got lightning speed. He ran a 4.4 40. Great length, ball skills, all that stuff. Really good in press coverage. I don't know how he's going to do if he has to be in a zone scheme. We'll see what they run over there in New York. God knows what they're doing over there with Robert Saleh. But we'll see. Look, if they got a good player, that's the thing about this draft. That's the thing I think was so wonderful about this draft specifically is outside of the quarterbacks, and because people were really down this draft coming in because the quarterbacks weren't as great as they have been in years past. But outside of the quarterback position, the depth in this draft and the amount of great players there are, or potential great players there are, it's just so many. There's just so many players.
Yeah, I mean, you're going to get good football players this year. It's just like any other draft. It's just that they don't happen to be at the quarterback position or at super flashy positions. Like Aiden Hutchinson is not like a Jadeveon Clowney type of defensive end. He doesn't have that highlight reel, but he's just a sturdy football player. He's going to go out there. He's going to make plays. He's going to help you win football games. I mean, that should be the goal.
All right. Here we go.
Get guys that can play football.
What
are we thinking for the Giants here?
I don't know. Ben, you tell me. What are you thinking for the New York Football Giants here?
I mean, the weird thing is that I was looking back at the draft history of the Buffalo Bills, right? Because this entire Giants front office is basically South Buffalo now. So I was going through their past drafts. The Bills in the past couple of years just haven't really taken offensive linemen very high. The Bills team building style has just kind of been, we're going to go defense early in the draft, and then just get offensive linemen in free agency or build the line in later rounds of the draft. So I know that the Giants need linemen. The Giants also need pretty much every other position. They need pass rushers. They need cornerbacks. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if Kyle Hamilton's the pick here. I feel like that's a guy that hasn't really been getting a lot of talk, or a lot of hype, but I think everybody feels like he's going to go high. if they have look, here's the thing with Hamilton. Tremendous football player. He's got all the skills you would want in a guy. You need a creative defensive coordinator to figure out how to use it because
Yeah.
he's super talented. It's like he reminds me a lot of Isaiah Simmons from Clemson, and he's on the Cardinals now, who got drafted very high, but teams were he kind of slid a bit because it was like, do we put him at a linebacker? Do we put him at safety? Do we let him rush the passer? Like, they didn't know what to do with him. So I think teams kind of panicked and didn't draft him, but I think now he's in a better situation in Arizona where teams are going to know what to do with him. I love Kyle Hamilton because he's, again, like jack of all trades, but it really takes somebody creative to figure out what to do with him. I don't think the Giants are going quarterback here, and because of the Bills' history in the draft, I don't think the Giants are going to go offensive line either. So that kind of leaves me to believe, right? And again, just thinking back on the Bills, like, who have their first-round picks been? Ed Oliver. They took, who was it? The pass rusher. God, I can't remember who it was. But, you know, like the Bills have typically gone defensive line early. It's just something that they've done, that group, that regime has done. Look, this could be Thibodeau. This could be Ojabo from Michigan. I know there's some injury concerns with him. Again, don't think it's going to be quarterback. Probably not going to be Hamilton. But again, like, that's the beauty of being a really, really bad team, and having a draft with depth at every position, is that you can just kind of take the best player available. I will give you a name. I don't think he's going to be the pick here, but I absolutely love the linebacker from Georgia, Nakobe Dean. Like, if you ask me,
Nakobe
like, who's
Dean,
one of
that's
your
the guy.
guys,
Yeah.
he's one of my guys. Like, I absolutely love that guy. He's going to be a fantastic player. He's probably going to be mid-teens to late first round, but I mean, look, if I were the Giants, I would take him right here. I mean, you got to take your guy at some point, but yeah, I don't know. What are your thoughts here?
Well, we're about to find out, actually. My thoughts, you take the kid Kayvon Thibodeau, best player available, mold him into something. If Robert Saleh is such a great defensive coordinator, we're going to find out exactly whether or not that's true. Here we go. Roger Goodell walking his way over to the podium. The New York Football Giants about to mortgage their entire future. Let's see for who.
The Giants selection at number 5 in this year's draft. Here's the commission.
For the New York Giants pick, I'm joined by Sam Prince,
Sam Prince.
long Giants fan and Make-A-Wish kid.
NFL being charitable, as they are sometimes. All right.
Sam is post-heart transplant and feeling stronger than ever, as you can see.
All right. Haha. And then we got Louis Riddick and the co laughing, haha, giggling in the background.
To announce the Giants' first pick comes
Come on
through.
now.
We hope this wish will be a turning point for Sam as he looks forward to being a sports broadcaster in the future.
Do all Giants fans want to be sports broadcasters?
Get your wish true, baby. Thank you, Mr. Goodell.
I think when you grow up in New York, it just happens.
Let's see. All right, here we go. New York Giants. Pick is in.
With the 5th pick in the 2022 NFL Draft, the New York Football Giants select Kayvon Thibodeau.
That's it. Kayvon Thibodeau. Defensive end, Oregon, lightning fast. The fastest defensive end in this draft. Ran a 4.5 40 fast. Great counter moves, great finesse moves, high ceiling. The biggest down is the flop potential that he has. Ben, I understand that's one of your concerns with Kayvon Thibodeau. Explain to me what your reaction is as a Giants fan to this pick.
I mean, kind of expected. You know, I was just saying, like, they like to go pass rusher, this group. On the plays that he's good, he's the best player on the field. There are a lot of plays where he might not even show up. Like, he'll just kind of he's a loafer. He's a little bit of a loafer. So you got to make sure that he's going to play football. So that's the big concern I have with him. It's just like dedication, like, and that's not even something where it's like, oh, that's just a rumor. People are saying it. Like, you can see that on film. Like, if you watch a game with him, there are plays where he's just kind of not. You can see he's not giving full effort. I don't know if that's a stamina thing. I don't know if that's just his head's not there, but that's definitely something that I would be worried about. And he seems a little undersized. I don't know if he's undersized in my eyes just because he's wearing number 5. Like that could just be my dumb brain. But
I think it is.
He's going to be the guy now. He's got to show up. He's got to play football, and that's the hope.
That is the hope. The hope seems to be. You seem to be optimistic. Are you optimistic about Daniel Jones's contract not getting picked up, his 5th-year option?
That's good news for the Giants.
If they made,
it's the right move. That's what you have to do.
It's one right move that the Giants have made in the past 5 years. It really went downhill after that first year of Ben McAdoo, didn't it?
It was the boat. The Giants are still trying to get over that boat picture. So I think they're over it now. I think actually Sterling Shepard's still on the team. So I think Sterling Shepard is the last guy that's still on that team from the boat picture. Once he's gone, I think they can finally move on. There's certain demons that you have to exercise to move forward, and Sterling Shepard might just have to be a casualty of that.
He might have to be a casualty.
Yeah.
Love to hear it. Ben, before we let you go, I do got to ask you here. Number 6, Carolina. The talk has been they have told Sam Darnold they're taking a quarterback. That's been the report. Malik Willis is here. Kenny Pickett is here. You also have Sam Howell, North Carolina product. The outside chance they take Desmond Ridder. I don't think it's going to be Desmond Ridder. It probably should be, considering he's the best quarterback in this draft. IMO. What should they do at number 6?
I think Howell goes I think they take Howell in the 2nd round. I think they take the local kid when he's there in the 2nd round. I think this is going to have to be offensive line. There's just too many good offensive linemen to not take one here.
Evan Neal, EK, all these guys are on the board. We'll see. Who you hope the Giants take with their 2nd pick here?
I hope they get out of this pick. I don't want them making this pick. This pick has to be traded back, and they get a 1st-round pick next year because they're going to need a quarterback next year, and having 2 1st-round picks next year gives them the ability to move up. They got to have ammo if they want to go get a good quarterback next year in the 1st round. So I do not want to see the Giants making this pick at 7. This is a get-out spot. And again, plenty of really good players left on the board. The run on receivers is going to start probably around 9. So if a team sees a receiver that they really like, they could come up to 7 and go get a receiver. I could also see Carolina going with Icky right here just because he's an NC State guy. I feel like the Panthers are just going to go local guys with their first 2 picks. I feel like it's going to be Icky and Howell in the 2nd round.
Well, we're going to see exactly who they pick in just a little bit. Ben Greenberger, always a pleasure. Good luck to you and your Giants.
Yeah, it's going to be a rough year. I love the draft, though. This is always a fun night. Thanks
always a fun night. Always a pleasure. See you, Ben. So that was Ben Greenberger, resident Giants fan, 2nd resident Giants fan. We also have another Giants fan who is about to be on the line in just a little bit if we can actually set it up to make it that way. We'll give it a second to see if the call goes through. Has it gone through? Are we here? Johnny G is on the line. Johnny G is on the show. Johnny G, welcome back to Real Take.
Thanks for having me, Omer. I'm ready to give some real takes. I'm honestly pretty shocked. Not disappointed, but shocked.
You're shocked that the Giants made a good pick.
Well, I thought so the reports coming out were that they didn't like Thibodeau. Now the kid is, I don't know obviously we don't know anything about his personality, but they were talking about his personality, that he wasn't a fit in the Giants. And all those reports are usually bullshit. We know that by now, but he is one hell of a defensive end. That man moves off the line like very few dudes I've ever watched. So to get him at 5, I think is an absolute steal. I'm shocked, frankly, they didn't go offensive line. I thought they were going to go offensive line and then trade down because Carolina's probably going to take an offensive lineman here.
Unless they go quarterback.
Yeah, I mean, come on. Look, Malik Willis and Kenny Pickett are fine, but are they top 6 quarterbacks?
I totally agree with you. I'm with you. I'm with you on this, but I don't know if the New York, well, they're definitely not. I don't know if the Carolina Panthers are on the same wavelength as either of us because they recently told Sam Darnold that they are going to pick a quarterback. Whether or not that was a smokescreen, whether or not that was maybe a motive to inspire confidence in Sam Darnold, we'll see. But
yeah, I mean, it's hilarious. That just happened, right? And you have the Giants deciding not to pick up Daniel Jones' 5th-year option. So both of those New York quarterbacks are just on the outside looking in right now.
Absolutely. All right, outside the Carolina Panthers. I mean, look, the Giants have some needs here still. They got Kayvon Thibodeau. They solidified that defensive line very well here. Do you think Evan Neal, offensive tackle out of Alabama, big, sturdy guy, he's versatile. He can play almost any position on the offensive line outside of center. What do you think? Big bulldozing power out of him.
I think that would be the right choice for Carolina. I'm looking for the Giants.
I mean.
NC State kid. Oh, so I was looking for the NC State kid.
The undersized offensive tackle, 6'4".
Well, it's just that he's played right tackle, and I think that he's going to slot in well right in that spot for him. The Giants have some athletic linemen who can play around. But, honestly, I guess at the offensive tackle position, you're probably right. That just get the maulers and figure out the technical stuff later. Size and technique, quickness off the line, getting up out of your stance is probably going to be what's going to make or break an offensive lineman, especially, in a Giants possibly run first system. If with Saquon's back and healthy and maybe they take another running back at some point in this draft.
Exactly. Well, Carolina is on the clock. Carolina's pick is in. All the talk this week of a quarterback potentially being taken as high as number 6. Let's find out. The commissioner is on his way.
In the 2022 NFL Draft, the Carolina Panthers select Ikem Ekwonu.
There we go. Ikem Ekwonu. Ike, they call him. Ike Ekwonu, a little bit undersized, 6'4", offensive tackle outside of NC State. Big time ability from Ike. Johnny, what do you think about this pick? I mean, this is the guy you said you wanted for the Giants.
It's a great pick. He's a very talented, very athletic offensive tackle. He's a kid who I think is going to stick in this league for a long time. I know people might have their doubts about NC State as a school, but I think at this point we can put to bed this idea that mid-major type schools don't have elite talent. You look at some of the highlights they're going to put up here in a moment. The dude gets off the line quick. He is an absolute bruiser. Even at 6'4", 310, he's played inside. He's played outside. I just think that he's a supremely talented player who's going to fit in a lot of different systems. So, and that'll be good for Carolina since they don't necessarily know what their offensive play style is going to look like going into the future. It's good.
How amazing is that? How amazing is that? Offensive head coach hired to be an offensive guru. They don't know what their offensive scheme is going to be.
Well, it starts and ends at the quarterback position, and when your quarterback is Sam Darnold, you're probably going to be in for it. But I know all the listeners are going to be talking all this shit about what I say about Daniel Jones. So I guess I don't get to talk much on that one, huh?
No, I mean, look, you were for a long time. Look, I agree with you at this point. Daniel Jones was not the only problem for the New York. He was not the biggest problem for the New York Football Giants. There were bigger problems in the GM, the head coach, and other positions. I'll give you that.
Yeah, I mean, look, at the end of the day, no, my roommate's here telling me that they're going to take a quarterback. They're not taking a quarterback with this pick. They're going with Neal from Alabama. They're going with Neal from Alabama. Yeah. I think. Who's the other tackle? There's one more offensive lineman that was available. I'm blanking on his name.
Is
but
that
I think
Zion?
they're
No,
going
not Zion
Neal.
Johnson. Yeah, he's a guard. But
Oh, the pick is in.
pick is in officially as good old Lewis Riddick is on my screen. Pick is in for the New York Giants. All right, Johnny. You say Evan Neal. I agree with you. I think Evan Neal, you take the big mauler. Everything else will figure itself out from there. And next year, you set yourself up to draft a quarterback. I had Ben Greenberger, resident Giants fan, as well on just earlier for the first pick the Giants had. And he was telling me he really wanted the Giants to trade down, get ammo to draft a quarterback next year. What are your thoughts on that strategy?
Yeah, so that's exactly what I thought, that they were going to take an offensive tackle, because I thought they were going to take an offensive tackle with 5, knowing Carolina was going to go that way with 6, and then trade down with 7, either to pick up multiple picks in this draft to get defensive players like Kayvon Thibodeau, obviously not as many as talented as Kayvon Thibodeau, but you could pick up quality players with 2 picks, right, as opposed to taking the 1. But I would have traded down if they had taken an offensive tackle. That's the biggest need. I don't want to wait later in the draft to take offensive tackles. I think you take Neal with this spot now that you've already used that 5th pick, and you put a good team on the field next year. Hopefully, maybe not. You're not looking at a playoff team or anything, but put the guts of a good team out there so you can move up, get a quarterback, and really hit 2023. 2024, really just hit it running.
Absolutely.
At the end of the day, that's what this team needs to look for now. The new GM Schoen, the new coaching staff is really going to be looking to hit the ground running with the guts of a team that they think can compete. I really want to compare what their process is going to look like, not necessarily to Buffalo, but to like pre-Seattle Russell Wilson, if that makes sense. Like decent, never awesome, but a quarterback away from really being a solid team is what I think that this team needs to start building towards.
All right. Well, looks like the pick is in. The commissioner is momentarily making his way. I think I'm a little bit behind you, so bear with me here. But Commissioner
I'll keep my
Goodell,
mouth shut.
there we go. Commissioner Roger Goodell is on his way to make the announcement of the number 7 overall pick, New York Football Giants. Pick Kayvon Thibodeau with their earlier pick. Here's the commissioner. The future of the Giants in his hands.
With the 7th pick in the 2022 NFL Draft, the New York Giants select Evan Neal.
Yep. There we go. Johnny, you said it before. I'll say it again. Evan Neal, behemoth of a man. 6'8", 337 pounds. Ran a fast 40 time for offensive lineman. Rare athleticism, big time power guy. 15 games, 15 starts, and he pancaked a lot of people in between. What do you think about this pick for the Giants?
Yeah, I mean, I'm surprised, honestly, that God allows people to be that enormous. This dude is an unreal mix of size and athleticism. Men who are 6'8" and 340 should not move as quick as he does, should not be as graceful as he is. His footwork at that size is unbelievable. I mean, he's the epitome of the Alabama offensive line that you think of, right? That they just dominate through the SEC with all these dudes who are 6'8" and 340. You close your eyes and that's what you imagine Alabama offensive lineman looking like. He's going to have a bright and long career, hopefully, as an offensive tackle with the New York Giants. I'm looking forward to watching him play, and I'm looking forward to watching him protect probably somebody other than Daniel Jones, but at least for next season, Daniel Jones.
Hopefully someone. Could you imagine if they re-signed Daniel Jones? Imagine that.
Well, it's one of those things where I wouldn't necessarily mind them re-signing Jones if better options aren't available. Because, we just watched, Jake Fromm get starts for them. And, if I have to go through that again, I'm throwing the TV out the window. So...
Hey man, don't hate on Jake Fromm. He
hate on Jake Fromm.
He could have been an XFL Hall of Famer.
Yeah, look, Georgia legend Jake Fromm, part of the perennial Georgia losers that could never get over the hump
until they won.
Well, I know they just, but not with Jake
Not
Fromm
with
on the
him. Not
team.
with him. Not with him. Yeah, you're right.
Not with Jake fucking Fromm on the team. So I look at the end of the day, they'll find a quarterback. Daniel Jones is not the guy, we know that, but as a stopgap player, as a bench QB, as a guy who will come in and just bring a floor to your team, like he's fine, and that's what the Giants need right now. I mean, him and Tyrod Taylor, I think that's a good QB room to have, and maybe look, it's an ego thing. Maybe you want to let him go since he was the pick, but maybe you bring in another quarterback to that QB room and he learns some good things from two guys who do things the right way, even if they're not the most gifted quarterbacks out there.
Well, we'll see. Thank God, though, Johnny, you don't have to sit through another Daniel Jones for another Giants quarterback reach. That would have been a struggle, I feel like, for you.
Oh my gosh! Like I said, I would have thrown my TV out the window if they took Pickett or Willis. Not that those guys are, that's not an evaluation of those guys.
You gotta get
It's just that
yourself
we
some
know.
Carson Strong is what you gotta get. Carson Strong out of Nevada.
No,
Oh, come on, no love for Carson
gosh,
Strong.
I can't.
He threw the most passes out of any quarterback in this draft.
Nevada, Daniel Jones is from Duke. Like, come on. Can we get a Heisman winner up in here, please?
A
Not
Heisman-
just Eli.
Can we get like a Heisman finalist at least? Like, can we get
Yeah,
something?
you know what? Someone who like is being considered, even if it's not even a finalist. Just someone whose like name comes up. I can't with these no name knuckleheads. The Giants are gonna take a QB. It better be someone who's decent.
Well,
So
a team that might take a QB. People are saying they got Marcus Mariota. I don't think they should take a quarterback. I don't think you go quarterback here. I mean, look, this is a spot where you're missing Calvin Ridley. I think for the Falcons, you take a wide receiver.
yeah, they took Pitts. They took Pitts last season. They just traded Matty Ice. And so, I think they're in a similar situation to the Giants, that they're probably a team that played worse last season than they actually are. And they're looking to add to the guts of that team before moving up to find the right guy. It's not just about taking somebody, because you could just take somebody. I like Pickett. The biggest issue with him was playing for Pitt and having small hands. So like he might not be a terrible quarterback, but is he the right guy for them in this moment? I think you're absolutely right that they should go offense, if not a receiver, then a running back or an offensive lineman, and just let the team improve while Ridley's serving his suspension.
Well, we'll see. Pick is in. Commissioner on his way. Atlanta football Falcons. Every team's football. That's their middle name, football. Atlanta football Falcons. As Goodell makes his way here. Let's see who they pick. Quarterback? Question mark? I doubt it. Highly doubt it.
With the 8th pick in the 2022 NFL Draft, the Atlanta Falcons select Drake London.
I said wide receiver, and they pick the guy who I think is the most overrated wide receiver out of USC in this draft, Drake London. Look, kid's got speed. Kid's got it all. But man, oh man, I don't trust him over some of these guys. You get in a draft when you got Jameson Williams, when you got Chris Olave. Look, they need a weapon? Yes, I don't think this is the right weapon though for them to get.
Yeah, I mean he's tall and quick, so those are good options to go for. At the end of the day, we'll see if some of those skills translate. A lot of times, speed doesn't translate if you can't if you get knocked off at the line of scrimmage. If you have a physical cornerback, a lot of the times those hand skills don't always translate to the NFL when you have guys who are going to be in you, not just on you, but in you when you're going up to catch a ball. So he's got good hands, he's got quickness, he's got speed, and he's not short. He's a tallerish. I don't know how tall is he. What is he? Got to be like 6'1", something like that.
6 feet.
6 feet. Yeah. So he, that's a good.
Sorry,
height for a
6'4",
receiver.
6'4", not 6 feet, 6'4".
6'4". Oh, so he's tall.
Vincent Jackson's his player comp.
Okay, it's a good player comp, but Vincent Jackson's he was a hell of a receiver. I don't know if I'm putting that out in the air.
They're literally just for this pick on ESPN. They are just showing Vincent Jackson highlights. That's all they're doing. They're not even showing his highlights. They're showing Vincent Jackson highlights.
That's how you know. I have it on mute, so I can't hear what they're saying. But that's how you know.
That's how you know. If you don't know, now you know. Well, Johnny, Evan Neal, Kayvon Thibodeau. Andrew actually said this. Andrew manifested this when we started this podcast. He said if the Giants are smart, they wait till Kayvon Thibodeau falls to them in the draft. He literally said that, I think, on like our 4th or 5th episode.
Yeah, hey, look, Andrew, he knows his prospects, man. He's got this scouted out way in advance. Thibodeau's been high up on boards for a very long time now. And, I like I mentioned earlier, I really think all that personality stuff is just absolute garbage. When those reports come out, is almost always a smokescreen. Sometimes, you see the dudes having tough spots in that comes out publicly, or you hear the reports from college of them being an issue. But you never ever heard a peep from Oregon about Thibodeau. And to get Thibodeau and Neal, I think is a great haul for the New York Giants. I think that puts them in a great position moving forward in this draft, going into the season, going into free agency. If they're looking to make some moves later in the draft, maybe on day 2, they're in a good position with this haul. They've put into their needs, and now everything else is gravy, baby.
Everything else is gravy. Are you gravy? You chilling?
You know it, boy. I'm studying for these finals out here. Got a test next week, a take-home test that same week, and then some oral arguments at the end of the semester. Started a new job a couple weeks ago. That's been going real well, and I'm just out here making my money and grinding. Some real talk for y'all.
Rise and grind, baby. That's the real take strategy right there. Johnny G.
Yes, sir, don't you know?
Johnny G, Giants fan extraordinaire, the original and still host of Real Take Sports Talk. Thank you for joining us, man. Look, Giants, for the first time in a while, they did the right thing in the draft, and that's honestly all you can ask.
Thank God. In Sean we trust.
All right, Johnny G is gonna go study for law school, do what he does. He'll be back eventually one day in like 6 years, and we'll regroup there.
Yes, sir. Real Take. It's been a pleasure.
Take it easy, bro. Johnny G joined us. That was great. That was fun. All right. Next, the Seattle Seahawks on the clock. Pick number 8 of this draft here. The Seattle Seahawks on the clock. Let's see who they might be picking here. So we do a close-up on me. They could go quarterback. The Seahawks could very well go quarterback here. They lost Russell Wilson. They have Drew Lock as their placeholder. Are they satisfied with Drew Lock? And does the Seahawks picking quarterback here potentially start a bit of a line at quarterback? We don't know. Let's see. All right, Seattle Seahawks pick is in. The Seattle Seahawks lost Russell Wilson, gained themselves Noah Fant, gained themselves a little bit of Drew Lock and some first round picks. This is one of them. Let's see what they do. Let's see. It's going to be interesting. Football is back, baby. Football is back. Pick is in for the Seahawks. A lot of potential here. A lot of potential. If you guys, it's in. It's in, baby. I don't know what you're doing. It's in. Here we go. go, baby.
In Las Vegas, the picks have come quickly tonight. We've already
Picks are come quickly. We love to see that. That is a rarity in these NFL draft times.
a trade for their longtime star quarterback, Russell Wilson. We began the evening talking about star players changing places, and perhaps the biggest name of them all was Russell Wilson.
New York Jets on the clock after this. This was part of that trade that the Broncos and the Seahawks had. It's going to be interesting to see who Seattle takes here. I'm just saying, do not be surprised if a quarterback goes here. Do not be surprised.
Certainly feels like a possibility. There are quite a few good defensive players remaining on the board. The receivers still sitting there, not convinced that's a position of need for Seattle. We'll find out. It's the beginning of a new era for the Seahawks.
New era for the Seattle Seahawks is damn right. Here we go. 9th pick.
In the 2020 NFL Draft, the Seattle Seahawks select Charles Cross.
Charles Cross, Mississippi State's finest offensive tackle. Charles Cross, another big-bodied offensive tackle. People say he's definitely, I thought he was the second best offensive tackle in this draft. People got him rated at number 3. Either way, he is a monster behemoth of a man, much like a lot of these offensive tackles that are in this draft. Charles freaking Cross, baby. Like when I tell you, when you think Charles Cross, here's what I want you to do. I want you to think stalwart of your offensive line. I want you to think someone who is going to be able to plug right in there at right or left tackle and become the guy for you. Like, he excels at pass blocking. This dude is, and he's only going to get better. Like, I know he had only played in 12 games last year. He's not as athletic as some of these other guys like Eki or potentially Evan Neal. But when I tell you the strength, the raw ability of him to go up and match up against a strong left end, or right end, whatever it is, this dude is going to be nice. He is money for the Seattle Seahawks. Great pick here for them. And they needed it. They needed it. If there's any team that desperately needed if any team desperately needed a offensive stalwart on their offensive line, it was the Seattle Seahawks. It's the entire reason that Russell Wilson left. So, Charles Cross, great pick for them. Up next, we're going to go New York Jets 2, electric, whatever. New York Jets have an opportunity here. I think, look, you got the offensive, you built it out. You built it out with your first pick there at what was it, number 4? With number 5, whatever they had. Number 4, they picked Ahmad Gardner. You got your defensive guy. Focus on the offensive side of the ball. Think Chris Olave. Do not shy away from Chris Olave just because of some concerns with the injury. Don't. I'm telling you, Olave is a guy who is going to make a direct impact. It's got to be. It's got to be. As they say in FIFA, it's got to be. We'll see. Pick number 10. Let's see. Pick number 10 here. New York Jets, man. Look, they picked. Again, the offensive tackle. If Charles Cross was here, I would say maybe you would pick him. But with this pick, you either go Jameson Williams or Chris Olave. You take a wide receiver, get some extra help, get that number 1 weapon for Zach Wilson Jr. Is it Jr.? I don't even know if it's Jr. For Zach Wilson, get that offensive weapon for Zach Wilson. and give that man some help because he needs it. Love Corey Davis, not good enough. Love Brandon Barrios, whatever his name is, not good enough. Got to be him. So the Jets are celebrating in their draft room. It's gonna be interesting to see who they end up picking. Jameson Williams. Mel Kiper just said his name. Jets, Jets. Pick is in. Jets fans are excited. See who their future is going to be. Is it going to be a wide receiver that Zach Wilson is going to throw to? Potentially similar combination that Jamar Chase has with his young quarterback over there in as I check a message real quick. Sorry about that. Interesting. Anyway, Jamar Chase, Joe Burrow. Is it going to be that type of situation? We don't know, man. We don't know. Pick is in. 2022 NFL Draft. New York Football Jets. Who do they got? New York Jets.
With the 10th pick in the 2022 NFL Draft, the New York Jets select Garrett Wilson.
Ooh, the wrong wide receiver from Ohio State, Garrett Wilson, teammate of the great Chris Olave. I am not saying there's much wrong. He's a fine wide receiver. He has the ability to be good. I have questions about his catching ability, but look, I don't know, man. You had Chris Olave there. You had Jameson Williams there. Okay. That's who they went with. That's a choice. This is definitely a choice. He's got ability. He's athletic. I'll give him that. He's very athletic. He's fast. Huge body. He's got a lot of finesse to him. Is he going to be able to sustain in the NFL? I don't know. We'll see. Y'all let me know in the chat. Big red zone threat, but is he going to be an every down threat? That's the big question for him. As the Washington, no longer football team, they are still a football team, but the Washington Commanders are on the clock now. Now the question is, do the Washington Commanders think about taking a quarterback here? Or is there going to be a trade? Eventually, there's going to be a trade. There has to be. We'll see, though.